625. I know that 20 times 20 is 400, plus some number times itself, right? So 400 plus what would give me 625? 225, so I know that this has got to equal 225. Some number times itself would have to give me 225. Now I might have to try some numbers to see. I know it's going to end in a 5. In order for the answer to end in a 5, see what I mean? I'd start with 15. Because I know it's not 5. I'd start with 15 and say, is 15 times 15 225? Hey, got it on the first one. So I know this had to be 15. Now with a calculator, you could put in 225 and then push in square root. And it would give you what number times itself equal 225. Or if you had multiple choice, I'd use every choice that ended in a 5. Multiply times, because the thing that you need to know, see, is that you have to multiply times itself. You see what I'm saying? You understand the logic of it, or what has to happen. You have to understand the formula. You have to believe that the formula says what it says. It says that if you multiply this number times itself, you're going to get the same answer. That's what this says. Is when you multiply this side times itself and add it to this side times itself. That's what it says. So it's got to be true. So once I know what this side times itself is, I know that the total's got to be 625. Because that's what it says. It says 625 equals what? It's got to equal 625. What's on this side's got to be on that side if it's equal. And it says this times itself. They gave me the 20, so I said, okay, that's 400. I know I'm going to add 400 to something to get 625. And that something has to be some number times itself. Not the number, but the number times itself. Translating this back into words that you understand. So I have to find out what number times itself is going to give me the correct number to add to 400 to equal 625. Just step by step. Okay. Now, typically, they're not going to give it to you in that form. They're going to give it to you in a form different than that. Look at page 274. How'd you guys do on that test?
I missed it.
Huh?
I missed it by like 6 questions.
Okay, so you know the things you need to study. How'd you do, Chris?
I passed mine. I didn't have no like extra cushion though. I scored right at 450.
Right at 450? On the math, if you score right at 450,
Right there.
that's what a lot of people do. So, probably just a few more things, like for instance, we hadn't gone over Pythagorean theorem, and there's probably a Pythagorean theorem question. There's a Pythagorean theorem on every test. Yeah, every test I've ever taken in math has a Pythagorean theorem question on it. That's why I want to make sure everybody knows that, because it's going to be on there. And you remember James? He said, I got that Pythagorean theorem, and that's when he passed that test. As it was on there. Okay, so that makes a difference. Let's look at number 4 on 274. It says, what is the length of the hypotenuse of a right triangle whose legs measure 12 yards and 16 yards? See, they got these terms in there. If you never knew what they were, you don't know what you're looking for. So you got to know, just remember that that crazy word, hypotenuse, is something that looks like hippopotamus. That's going to be that slanted line. The legs are the 2 straight lines. So I would draw the picture. 16 and 12, and they want to know the slanted line. They told me that one is 16 and one is 12. They want to know this one. First thing you do, always write the formula first. So you have your recipe. That's your recipe. Okay? They want to know this one, so we're still looking for it. But we know that one side is 12, one side is 16. Okay? We still don't know this one, but we know that 12 times 12 is what?
144.
144. Somebody with a calculator, do 16 times 16. 256. So now I know that some number times itself is equal to 144 plus 256. 400. And what is that number? What number times itself is 400? 20. We just had it in the other problem, right? We knew that to find this, we had to use the Pythagorean theorem that says that c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. A is 12, so 12 squared. B is 16 plus 16 squared. 12 squared is 144 plus 16 squared is 256. So now we know that some number times itself is equal to 400. And that number is whatever the square root of 400 is. Whatever number times itself equals 400, which is 20. You can always check it to say, is 20 times 2400? Yes, it is. So which part are you confused with?
But when you got to the C2 equals 144 plus 256, and
Uh-huh.
you got down to C2 equals 400.
I added the 144 and
Oh, you
256.
added that together, okay.
Uh-huh. Because that's what it says. No secret. It says 144
I see
plus
that plus in the middle
256.
now, girl, I see it now.
Oh, you didn't see the plus? You didn't see the plus? Probably because it's right close to that 144.
I see, I just wasn't putting it together.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So the answer to that question would be the hypotenuse is 20. And that was the question. What is this one? So you see they don't go 12, 13, 14. But the 3, 4, 5, that's the one that's always used for an example. That's the one that you always learn first. And I have been so surprised that I have had tests that will have a 3 and a 4 as the legs. I know it's 5. Or they'll have a 5 and a 3, I know it's 4. Or a 4 and a 5, I know it's 3. 3, 4, and 5 go together on that Pythagorean theorem. But most times they don't give you that. I'm just shocked when they give you the 3, 4, 5 because that's the example they always give. You don't have to figure out anything. It's there for you. But anything else, you're going to have to figure it. Let's look at number 5. Because this is the way they'll give it to you. They'll have a little picture there. Sometimes they won't even do the picture. They'll give you the words. That's why we're on page 274.
Okay.
They'll just give you the words and say they're here and there. Always draw it. Again, so you can see, as soon as you draw and see that it's coming up to a right triangle, bang, it's the Pythagorean theorem. Marita drove 60 miles west from Belleville to Mactown. And see, if I was reading that, I would start drawing. She drove west. I know she's going this way. Okay? It said 60 miles. And I'll put that there. Then it said she immediately went south, right? So she came down. And how many miles? How many?
45.
45. And then what's the question?
How far is it from whatever to
She returned to Belleville on Route 3. How far is it from Shreveport to Belleville along
Okay.
Route 3?
And then this is Route 3, right?
Yeah.
See, as soon as they do this, you say, oh, there's the hypotenuse. They gave me the legs, the 60 and the 45, right? We know this is a right triangle because they'll say she went west, then she immediately went south. You see what I'm saying? That lets you know she made that 90-degree turn. And you'll know it's the Pythagorean theorem. So again, they want to know that. Put in your formula. We know we're looking for that. We're looking for the C. But we know it's 60 times itself plus 45 times itself. Because that's what the formula says. Okay? 60 times itself 3,600 plus 45 times itself. $2,025. Some number times itself is equal to these two added together, right? I need to know what number times itself gives me 5,625. That's what you need to know.
75.
Let's try it. And yes, it is. So this number has to be 75. So that when I multiply it times itself, I get 5,625, which is the same answer I get when I add these two together. You see what I'm saying? They never expect you to know that it's 75. They'll expect you to know the square roots of like 16, 25, 100, maybe 144. Other than that, you'd be able to use a calculator, or it'd be multiple choice. So if I knew that it had to equal, that's all I need to know. It's got to equal 5,625. I'll take every one of those choices, multiply them together, see if it comes up to 5,625. You know that one's your answer. And I know